Tell me about where you grew up and what your parents did.
I grew up 313 Registry Park, Mason City, Iowa, in a trailer park on the west side of town. My dad was a factory worker. I worked at a place called Minnesota Rubber. My mom was a daycare teacher at Charlie Brown Daycare in Mason City. And the only reason she was a daycare teacher was because that's the only way we could afford life. Well, afford daycare, afford life, really.
When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
It's funny, I always wanted to be like my dad. And so I always would wear his Air Force, he was an Air Force veteran. I'd always wear his Air Force jacket around the house, wanted to do that. He gave me military green, the little green Army men, little C-130 plane, all of that. I wanted to be a pilot for a very long time. And I knew to get to that, it was like, my dad was like, you got to go through schooling. You got to be in the Naval Academy. You got to do all this stuff to get there. So yeah, that's what I always wanted to do, but I never really knew if I'd be able to get there.
Did you ever think you'd run for office?
Hell no. I never thought in a million years that I would be, had this opportunity. People like me don't do this. People like me don't have these chances. You don't have money, you don't have a chance. So I always just thought, I'll probably work in a factory. I'll probably, if I'm lucky, find a good woman that has a good paying job and be able to have a good life. And I realized really quick, the path to get there, the path that you have to take is not the path that I was on or would be able to get there. So I found my own,
You ended up choosing to serve your country. Tell me about that decision.
Yeah, so sophomore year in high school, I remember we did a benchmark and we had to do this speech about what we're going to do when we grew up or when we graduated. And I had to make it up because I didn't know anything. I was like, there's no way that I can go to North Iowa Area Community College, which is in Mason City. I never knew I could do that. I had no idea what I could do because my family didn't have money. We just didn't. I knew it was impossible. And so I started to freak out a little bit, really. And then I met the Marine Corps recruiter because one of my friends was talking about it. And he said, you should come check this guy out. And they gave me, they put these little blocks on the table and said, if you were joining the military, what would be the reason you'd want to join? And it was adventure, it was see the world, it was, better paying job, all these different things. And mine was get out of Mason City, see the world, experience life. I wanted to see more and do more because I knew Mason City was a great town, a great place, but I knew it wasn't, not say for me, it was just someplace where I didn't feel like I had chances. And if I could do something else, I could have chances. And then doing that, it was first of all, you had 9/11 that happened. So it was this is a chance to be something bigger than myself. I had played sports, been on teams, but it was something where I could do something that meant something more and was bigger and had a bigger cause. And for me, it was everything pointed, that's a way to do it. Follow this. And I told you, I always followed my dad and wanted to wear his stuff. And it was this is my chance to be me and prove who I was. And when I talked to my dad about it, actually, I said, I'm thinking about doing this. He's like, Marine Corps is the hardest. He's like, Army's not that bad. He goes, Navy, you'll be gone all the time. And Air Force, he said, you'll fold close. So he told, because he was in the Air Force. And I said, okay. He's like, I want to do the hardest thing I can and prove it that I can do it. So I signed up for the Marine Corps.
And did you think, risking your life for your country is kind of, I don't know, maybe a lot to ask for a working class kid to even have a shot at a better life than your parents? Yeah,
you don't realize, when I was graduating high school and the Iraq War kicked off in March of 2003, I think it was, I graduated in May of 2003. All my friends were like, oh, you're going to go to war, ha, ha, ha. And I was like, well, no, last time we were in Iraq, it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we were done. And we're not going to be there that long. It'll be over before I'm done. I'll go to boot camp. I won't have to worry about it. And I spent 3 times there, And then, going there, it was the scariest thing in my life. The most terrifying, 19-year-old kid on a bus in Kuwait, and they're told you don't look out the windows, and you're like, why? And then it just progressively gets worse. And it's hard to talk about, it's hard to think about, but it is what it is. And at the end of the day, am I glad that I did what I did and served the military? Yes. Does it suck that I went to Iraq? Yes. But at the same time, I feel like it prepared me to not have normal fears that other people have. And maybe that's also why it prepared me for what I'm doing now is I'm not scared to talk to you, talk to anybody, have these conversations, do what I need to do, because nothing is as worse as growing up the way I grew up or going to war.
Yeah, I think that maybe sets you apart from other people
Yeah.
running for Senate across the country or serving in the Senate right now. A lot of them didn't grow up with a working class background. It feels like that's almost by design. So talk about what sort of opportunities serving gave you to prepare you for this as well. You've done some public service here in Knoxville.
Yeah, I think when I'm working with small businesses, first of all, growing up poor and growing up in poverty and growing up the way I grew up, you learn how to adapt. So you wear the hand-me-down clothes, it's almost like you get a chip on your shoulder where you're competing harder, because you know that this doctor's kid or this lawyer's kid has got more opportunities, they got better equipment, they brought better things. Same way I look at what I do now with working with small businesses is like these small mom and pop shops, they have a chip on their shoulder. They're trying to compete with the Walmarts, the Amazons, the major corporations. So you end up, for me, it was like working with these people and doing what I'm doing. It felt natural, because it's like, I'm here to help you, because we need help. We need more things like this. We need people we need a mom and pop shop that has things in the store that you can't find anywhere else, in Knoxville, Iowa. And for me, it was like, you get to hear these sob stories and you hear them talking about how hard it is. And when they're talking to you and business owners are having these conversations and all these groups are having these conversations with you, I can actually empathize with them, because I know what it's like. I know how hard it is. And a lot of people, and I think that's why I'm so good at what I do when meeting with these, because they see that in me. They know that when I say I understand, it's because I understand. And I understand when they're saying that people don't understand. I'm like, I know people don't understand. They don't get it. They don't get it until they go through it. They don't get it unless they've gone through it. And I think that's why, for this, it's like, when I talk to voters or talk to people like rural communities or talk to individuals just about what I'm trying to do, I can actually tell you, like, I know, man. I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is to try to pay for food. I know how hard it is to try to figure out what you're going to do with, like, my daughter graduates next year. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to pay for her schooling? Because she wants to go on to go schooling. And I'm sitting there going, and life should not be like that. It should nowhere be like that in the richest country in the world.
I think that it shows the state of politics in our country that when you announced your bid for the Senate and you shared a lot of these ideas and your upbringing, that it got millions of views and millions of likes across multiple platforms. Why do you think people are so ready for this message, particularly now, even though, what we're talking about, wealth inequality, has been pretty bad for a while in America?
I think now especially is because you have rich billionaires that are sitting next to the president, cutting away funding and cutting away programs that a lot of people depend on. And they're like, wait, we didn't sign up for this. Like, I think there's a lot of people that are just stuck right now that don't have representation, right? They don't have people that you get the same cookie cutter candidate that comes out there, doctor's kid with soft hands, says what he's going to say, and we're used to it. And then they're going to leave and they're going to check the block, say they talked to us, and that's it. And nothing's ever going to change because, again, 98% of Washington, D.C. is generational wealth. They don't give a crap about us. So the only way that we're ever going to get things changed, the only way we're ever going to get anything anywhere for the working class is to actually have working class people there. And I think that's why when we talk about that, people are starting to understand that. People are starting to go, yes, he's like me. He's struggling. He knows how hard it is. He gets it. And I think that's resonating with so many people because they're just fed up with listening to rich ass people say what they're saying and nothing is helping us. Nothing is getting to us. Oh, you got to go. When people say that we got to go through some pain or some tough times to get to somewhere good at the end, shut up. Because we're going through pain now. We're dealing with shit now. It's hard now, and it hasn't gotten any better. And you are a million times richer than us. It's easy to sit up in your tower and say that to us. Like my drill instructors used to say, throwing snowballs from the cheap seats. That's what that is. You're sitting up in cheap seats, throwing snowballs down on the people that are actually working their ass off to make a life for themselves. And you're telling them they gotta work harder, and that's complete bullshit.
How do you feel when you hear politicians, maybe even in the highest office, talk about how great the economy is in America?
I think it's great for them. I think when they talk about that, they're talking about themselves. They're talking about, their partners and how great they're making money hand over fist. Anybody else who's in the real world, anybody else who's in the working class is going, oh, well, that's not what it looks like when I went to get groceries. Like I just had to pay this grocery bill, and now I have to pay this car bill, and now I have to pay this rent, and now I got to pay this, and it's not great. It's not going well. It might be going for the upper 1%. It might be going up for the rich people, but for us in the working class, and that's the thing that's the most messed up about it, is because the only reason they're making the money they're making is off the backs of us doing what we're doing, and we're slaving away doing what we're doing, day in and out, trying to make ends meet, and they're just telling us to work harder, and we can't even get like paid sick leave. We can't, you know what I mean? They're doing everything they can to keep us down, keep us going, and then trying to bait us into this, oh, you're doing it for the country, you're being patriotic, when it's like, no, I think everybody around us, everybody in the middle class is finally realizing, like, they're not here for us. They're here for their own self-interest. But the question is, how do we get out of that? How can we make this rich go back to kind of getting closer together, raising wages, lowering cost of healthcare, lowering cost of childcare, which is outrageous, trying to make life better now. Those are the ways I think we need to start, and then continuously closing that gap. It's going to be a work in progress, but we got to do something now.
Why do you think so many politicians, especially politicians coming out of Iowa, have not represented these ideas?
Because they're not us. I hate to say it like that, and I give a little shout out to Kendrick on that, but they're not like us. Like, they didn't grow up they didn't grow up poor. They didn't grow up in, syrup sandwiches or whatever he says. They didn't grow up like that. Like in Iowa, the people that are coming and talking to us, the reason they're able to run is because they have the money to back it. They have people that they know and the connections they know based on their family, based on generational wealth or whatever it is, that got them to there. Now, there are some people that come out of there and have had a chance, but it's a lot harder. And so, I think that when it comes to it, we have to do something different. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, according to Einstein. So why do we keep putting the same politicians and the same people forward and expecting something different? And yeah, it's just, they have always continuously done this, overlooked rural Iowa, overlooked the working class, kind of looked at like we got them checked in our box because we're the working class party. But you got to actually talk to people. You actually have to conversations with people. You have to listen to people. Dr. Bob Leonard, my closest friend, said, shut up and listen. And that's what you got to do. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I think if we can do that, and we have these conversations, these tough, emotional conversations, and understand what people are going through, we can actually figure out the policies and the laws and the things that we need to change to make life better now. And that's where it all begins.
What would you say to the media pundits who call this way of looking at the economy, wanting to raise wages and protect workers, as some crazy radical lefty idea?
I think it's funny that I've already been called a radical Democrat, because when have you ever seen a family man, a veteran, someone who serves their country, serves their community, does everything that you're told is good to do, considered radical? I'm a normal human being. I'm a normal working class person. I'm a veteran. I worked my ass off for this country. I fought for this country, and I'm radical because I want a better life. It's insane to consider that I'm radical. Like, to me, I'm not radical. Maybe I'm revolutionary is a better term for that. I'm tired of what we're going through. I'm tired of dealing with the shit we're dealing with. And if you don't like how we're talking, you don't like how we're being, you made us this way. You're the ones who beat us down and treated us like garbage for so long, like we didn't matter for so long. It's about time we stepped up and stepped forward. And that's what you're seeing. And so anybody who calls me radical is just somebody who's trying to get clicks, attention, doesn't understand what radical is, doesn't understand what real life is. And so, yeah, we can kind of have a conversation about that in another time. But when I think about it, I think of, well, if that's how you feel, in the military, would always tell you, let's meet you at the tree line. We'll figure out what radical is.
Do you think it's radical to say or expect Americans to live off of $7.25 an hour?
I think it's insane.
Yeah.
I think it's, I think it's crazy. And the fact that it hasn't changed in however many years or decades or whatever, just goes to show you how greedy these people are, that they can't even, like even 10 cents, 20 cents, like even that going up, like it's way behind. And we're sitting here trying to talk about it, and they have their talking points about why it would make costs go up or why it would cause more problems. At the end of the day, CEOs make 330% more than their workers. So there's the answer. If you, a little bit of greed, take away a little bit of that greed, we could go a long way, and it could help out a lot of people. And that's the problem, is the billionaires, the corporations that make these monies off those workers don't want to give them their fair shake. They don't want to give them their fair piece of the pie. And so the only way you can do that is to stand up and vote people out, fight for your rights, stand up and talk about it. And that's what we're trying to do. You know, we got to shine a light on it to get people to understand how far the gap actually is.
Let's talk about your decision to run. A lot of people are considering leaving the country because of the state of it. People are buying all of these like prepping kits and trying to go off the grid. It seems like the state of the country is making people give up. And you've decided to fight. And that takes a deep love of your country. Is that a hard decision to see the country go in this direction and really decide, you know, I have to dedicate my life to fighting for it?
It's been hard. I'll even tell you that my own wife has been like, how much does it cost to live in Canada? Has asked me those questions. Because it's been like every day we wake up, it's another thing you're seeing on TV or social media where you're just, what the hell is going on? Like, what are we doing? It seems like there's no common sense anymore. And that's one thing that it seems like both parties or both agendas are trying to say common sense is this, they're getting you confused. At the end of the day, everybody knows what common sense is and understands that what is going on right now is not common, is not natural, is not real. And it's scary. But at the same time, like you said, like, sitting in that bus in Kuwait, being told not to look out the window, waiting 4 days to fly into Iraq because my airfield that I was going to land on was getting mortared every single day. First day I get to Iraq, go to the internet building to say hello to my family, and I get an attack and lights go out, and the guy next to me, we all hit the deck, the guy next to me starts praying. You understand really quick the things that you're worried about in life don't matter as much as your actual life. And so for me, it's like, this isn't going to kill me. This is just something you got to stand up when it's time to stand up, and you got to fight for what you believe in. And I love America. I always have. I've been one of the biggest patriots I think ever. Like, I've always been that way. I signed up my mom called me the All-American kid because I played baseball. I played sports. I went to the Marine Corps. I've always fought for everything. Fighting for people has been what I've always done. And it's like, what better time than now, especially with the chaos, to show people like there is people that actually truly care about you. There are people that are willing to fight for you. There are people that are willing to stand up and do things for you. I couldn't show you that from afar when I'm in a desert in Iraq, but I can show you now. And so now I can stand here in front of a camera. I can talk to people like you. I can have conversations with people and understand, like, listen, I'm here. I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to fight. And I don't give a shit what they say on any of these news or agencies. At the end of the day, I'm not here for them. I'm here to represent the working class. I'm here to represent Iowans. I'm here to fight for Iowans, and that's what I want to do.
And now people all across the country are paying attention to you because your message is one that resonates, especially now. And they're looking to you kind of as a leader of, you know, a hopeful movement for changing the country. How does that feel? Feels great, because it feels like finally, like, listen, like, it's like being working class. You're sitting there like for a long time. It feels like you're in the back of the bus screaming at the bus driver to stop. Like, let's stop, and no one listens, no one pays attention. And so coming out the way we did with our video and showing people who I am, that is awesome. But also, what I also want is more of that. Not just me, other states, other people, if they see it resonate with them, stand up and figure out how to do it. Get there and fight for it. If you believe in something, come together, volunteer for us, volunteer for other campaigns, get out there and actually fight. The only way that we are ever going to get there is if we all stay together and we all fight for what we believe in. And the truth of the matter is, I do feel like there's a lot of different issues. There's tons of issues across the political spectrum. There's tons of things that we can talk about. But at the end of the day,
I think everybody wants a better life for themselves, better life for their families, better life for their kids. That's what they want. They want affordable life. They want somewhere where they can actually feel like they're a part of something. And I think that goes across all areas. And I think if we can all rally together around that one message and make our lives better now, not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, but actually better now, I mean, now's the time to do it. So if you feel that way and you feel like, why the hell? Like waking up, my wife, like I said, my wife told you before, my wife comes home and she's like, why is this so hard? Why is it so hard? And now, like, yeah, it is hard. And the only way we're going to make it easier is by fighting for something and believing in something and going like, this is what we can do. And at the end of the day, voting them out is the best course of action. That's the one, when you talk about elections have consequences, elections have consequences. And if we can vote all of them out, that's their consequence. We can show them we're fed up, when we show them we're tired, and we can show them we're ready to fight for what we believe in.
Last thing I'll ask you, you said something in your launch video, we built a damn table, it's time we have a seat on it. That really resonated with people. So many comments were just echoing that sentiment. And then you said it again yesterday in a speech at May Day. It's kind of turning into a central point in your campaign. Can you just say what that means?
It's like this. We are the workers. We're the guys that are in the fields. We're the guys that are in the mechanic shops. We're in the hair salons. We're putting up the bridges. We're building America. We're creating everything. We're the ones that make this country run. In COVID, they called us essential. We are the people that make everything run. If we didn't go show up to work, the economy would drop. The world would drop. They need us more than we need them. And since we create all this and we build it and we're a part of this, it's about damn time we actually represented it. And we were a part of, like, we can have a say in how it's dictated, and we can have a say on how our lives go from moving forward. And that's what that means to me is, yes, we built the damn table. We should have a seat at it. It should not just be a seat for me. It should be a seat for the farmer. It should be a seat for the plumber. It should be a seat for the construction worker. It should be a seat for all of us. And we should all be able to have a say of what goes on in our lives.
The people who built the country should have a fair say as to how it's run.
Exactly.
It's a hell of a message, Nathan Sage.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for sitting down with me.